My dog just woke up. Yo, Apollo, yo. Woof, woof, yo. Hi,
Hey,
friends, amigos y amigas, bienvenidos al show. El show de la noche,
hey,
Latinos Out Loud.
loud.
Hi,
That's someone's like Latina mothers like listen like overhearing this like what pero qué es eso, what's that, what are you listening to?
¿Qué pasa ahí?
Come and listen, Doña. Come and listen to us. We're cool. We'll put you on to some shit. You know what I mean?
That's what happened back in the day, radio days. Families used to just gather around the radio.
Around the radio.
You know that was my dad's time. Like my dad would gather around the wooden radio with my Uncle Jerry and with their decoder rings and like wait for Captain America. It's like, hello, it's Captain America, like live from, and that was their source of entertainment, like for the week.
Wow.
So crazy, right? My dad was born in freaking 1940s. That he lived
everyone.
through the radio.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna Babe Ruth is coming to the plate.
And we're right back doing radio. Here we are doing a podcast, Latinos Out Loud. Still audio waves, still airwaves, maybe digital, not monologue. You know what I mean? Or analog? Is it analog? You know what I mean?
Well, you're doing a monologue right now.
I am, and I don't have mono. So, but I do sleep like a log, but I'm not going to do that now. Hi, it's your friend. It's Rachel La Loca.
Hey.
What up, it's Jay Burns.
Mr. J. What's up, everybody? It's Frank Nibbs from Washington Heights.
Hello, brothers.
Hey.
Hello, brethren.
Hey.
Hermanos.
¿Cómo estás, everyone?
Washington Heights.
Yo, is the Heights is still lit up there? What's going on? The summer's
always
over.
24/7. This is lit, like, every day, all day,
There's a lot of like, did you see that clip about someone in the Heights, these guys on a bike?
Oh, yeah, that was on your way, bro. I was worried about you.
What happened?
I was going to hit you up, man. I was really worried that it's not too far from your crib, bro. Some guys in a motorcycle, like, held up some guy, like, in midday, like, chasing some guy, and he's, like, screaming in the middle of the street.
So in
not
the
too
New
far
New
from
York,
not too far from where Jamie lived, by the way.
In the New York, now there's not just people just gonna like rob you walking on the street. They're gonna like drive up on you on a motorbike.
Yeah.
And then so it's kind of like a drive-by robbery,
Right. But
it's
on
like
a moped.
A pasola bike.
But like in a scooter, like in a
you got robbed by some dude on a pasola, bro.
Yo, New York's getting crazy, man.
But look, I don't wear jewelry like that. This guy probably was like flexing some chains or some shit,
Yo,
but I could see you using that as like a tactic, just screaming your ass off. Like obviously a Jamie scream, but like
I have pepper spray too, so I'll be putting up the pepper spray. I probably spray myself by accident.
That's happened to me before, but I've also invested in something new, adobo spray.
Adobo spray.
I'm just kidding.
My gosh.
Adobo spray, which works just as good. You could just season the shit out of somebody.
You know what I'm gonna do for both of you this Christmas? I'm gonna
give us a machete. What?
Yeah, I'm gonna get you a blade. I'm gonna get you both a blade.
I got that. I want a machete.
I'm gonna get you a nice
too
blade.
Messy. That's too messy. I want to.
True. It is messy.
I want to graduate to what's the electroshock thing?
That's a good one.
That's a good one with the gun, the stun gun.
What is it called? The stun gun.
The stun gun. That's a good one, Jamie.
I want to graduate to stun gun.
All right, I might get you that. I might get you that. I'm gonna get you that. This Christmas, that's my Christmas gift to you. Rachel, you want a blade or you want a switchblade? What do you want?
My weapon of choice is probably a Hattori Hanzo sword. So if you could fly to Japan real quick, Kill Bill style.
I got a machete if you could use that. So I don't know,
I think I'd be good with a sword.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, anything but pepper spray feels like I feel like I work for Sephora spraying that shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not that it's not gonna be that scary to a crazy person.
Like you're gonna hold it up like perfume?
No, I feel first of all, I think my pepper spray is expired, so it's probably not even gonna work. I'm probably gonna spray it, and it's gonna be like water to them. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you spraying water on me, yo? And I'm like, okay, I don't have a plan B here.
That stood out of a movie, and I could see that happening with you, and then being like, all right, yo, now's the part where you run, and then the chase ensues. and you're like still trying to spray the pepper spray behind him, and then he slips eventually. He slips on the watered down pepper spray.
And then I'm like, man, I should have taken up Frank on his machete offer.
Yeah. Well,
Oh man.
But yeah, it's crazy. That's crime right now is
Yeah, it's a little crazy out here in New
people
York.
are getting a little too creative with their criminal activities,
Yeah, I mean they're letting everybody out on bail, like $2 you'll get out for even attempted murder.
I heard you could get out of jail with a get out of jail free card from Monopoly. Like that's the situation right now. What is happening where the criminals are being regurgitated back onto the streets? I see them. I'm like, wait, this motherfucker got locked up last week. How is he back?
Wow.
So,
Rachel, I like that car crash around your way. That was spectacular.
Yo, that car chase. Did you guys see that car chase?
You saw that car chase, Jamie?
no.
Oh my God. A few weeks ago, there was a really skilled driver. This was some like Grand Theft Auto car chase on 2nd Avenue on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. He was able to, he was following somebody for blocks, stopped traffic on the upper 90s, caused 2 trucks to collide, and then worked their way down to the lower 90s where they both jumped the sidewalk, and the car with the criminals, with the perps, let's just call them, the car with the perps squeezed the other car on this like street where there's no other cars in between a barricade, popped his tires by squeezing the cars, and went around to the passenger side rather, and took a bag of cash and went back into the luxury vehicle. I think the luxury vehicle, was it a Beamer?
It was
I
a
forget
Mercedes.
what it was. Mercedes.
It was a Mercedes. Yeah,
Totally
it was straight out of a movie, bro. It was crazy, Jamie. Wow.
They were driving down, like, the up. Like, I'm not explaining this right. I'm such a bad. This is like an action scene.
It's all right.
Like,
It's so exciting. It's so exciting, Rachel, that I mean, when I saw it, I was speaking just like you.
I wasn't here. I wasn't even here. I was away, and I'm seeing the video. I'm like, oh shit, that's my block. Like, that's around
the block
my
is hot, son. What?
It happened too fast and furiously.
Oh,
yeah.
Jamie. It was Fast and Furious. They were driving the wrong way and like at a very high speed. It was really crazy.
Crazy. New York is crazy.
New York is crazy. They and Rachel, you were talking earlier about Times Square. And so now Times Square has these signs up in specific parts of Times Square saying this is a gun-free zone.
What?
And I'm reading these and I'm like, wait, when wasn't it a gun-free zone?
Yo, I haven't seen that.
Like, were we able to just shoot anyone we wanted to? Like, up until before these signs were put up? Like,
I was just at Dave and Buster's. Was somebody about to bust a cap in my ass? Like, I don't understand. How is that possible that at Dave and Buster's on 42nd Street, motherfuckers out here strapped and it's okay?
I mean,
I know Busters, yo. We busting Busters.
I know the ball drops, but is it bullet droppings too? Like,
ooh, it's gonna be crazy.
We gotta be careful. And then they put the Target right there on 42nd Street. Like, we need more Targets. Like, relax.
It's Target practice there now. Oh no.
So I guess but if you walk a couple blocks down, it automatically becomes a gun zone again. you can pull out your Glock. Like, you just gotta walk a little bit away from where the tourists are, and then you're free to shoot whoever and wherever you want.
Yo, New York is hot.
Listen. If you're from New York, you really don't walk around that space too long. You know what I mean? You never know. Some shit could pop off in that space. Like, if you from New York, you like squeeze through there. You don't go there. You're like, yo, that area to me is hot.
We go there maybe for a Broadway show every now and then.
Quick in and out. Some shit could pop off there.
You don't go on like Broadway, or you stay on the outskirts of that.
But yo, this is an interesting episode. We're talking about crime in New York. We're talking about law enforcement. And did I get the chance to interview someone really empowering, brilliant, and just showcases how a voice can move the needle. Just a voice, just one voice, making so much impact. I had the pleasure of interviewing Ivonne Roman. She's in law enforcement. She's got multiple degrees, PhDs, all of that. She's done a TED Talk called How Police Women Make Communities Safer.
Ooh, interesting.
Check that out. She's got an amazing initiative called 30 by 30. and we're going to talk about it right now. So let's get into this interview with Ivonne Roman.
All right.
All right, you guys, it is now part of the show where we interview someone her amazing. Okay, I realize that's a made up word, but do you not understand what I mean when I say her amazing? Her plus amazing equals her amazing. Okay, I always say that about our guests, but this guest doesn't fall short of that. If anything, we're going to supersede the amazingness today. So get ready. Everybody, if you drive in a car right now, put your seatbelt on a little bit tighter. Well, you might get a ticket. I don't know if she's going to do that on the podcast, but she is a PhD and she has done a TED talk. You know that guy Ted and the talk he does? Yeah, TED talk on how police women make communities safer. Please put your hands in the air one time for Ivonne Roman. Ooh, ooh. I have to do all the sound effects because my co-hosts are not here right now. So I'm going to try to sound like three people. Ooh, ooh, hooty, hoo, woo, woo, woo. That was so Arsenio Hall, and I just dated myself. Hi. I should probably be on better behavior. I respect authority. True talk. Okay. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, and thanks for having me here, Rachel.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the LOL Latinos Out Loud podcast. I am the Latina out loud on the show. My two co-hosts, Jamie and Frank, shout out to them. You know, everybody's busy, so we got to be able to divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? And we're always going to conquer like you. Okay. We have a lot to talk about. I give our guests introductions, but then I kind of rely on our guests to give the introduction more color. I mentioned your TED talk, but would you please tell people what you do for a living?
So I worked for 25 years as a police officer. I served in every rank from police officer to police chief in the city of Newark, New Jersey. And while I was there, Jersey in the house.
Jersey.
So back in 2015, I was working on a project to hire police officers. Newark, like so many other agencies across the country, had laid off police officers in 2010, and we were down 400 officers. And if we didn't hire aggressively, we were going to be down 600 officers. So as I started working on this project to hire officers, I realized that the women were being kicked out of the academies between 60 to 85%. And I didn't know if that was an issue. I didn't know if it was unique to Newark or to New Jersey or across the country. And what I found was that the number of women in policing had stagnated at around 12% for over 30 years. And for various reasons. In Newark specifically, it was because of change in the physical fitness test. But there was a big problem with the number of women in policing and representation. I felt that it was a problem. And as I started digging deeper, I found that there was research to support that there are huge benefits to bringing on more women into police departments.
Okay, I want to dissect a little bit here. You mentioned a physical test that is required. For someone like me who's not familiar with what that entails, could you share with us what that means? What is that prerequisite? What is that physical activity test like?
And that's important that you said that you're not familiar with it, right? Because most women aren't familiar with what's required for a physical entrance exam or a physical fitness test. So policing tends to be a male-dominated job. Men usually know someone who's a police officer, their fathers, a family member, a friend. Women were going in unprepared. So they'll have a test, and it varies from agency to agency, sadly. There's no uniformity. There's over 18,000 police agencies in the United States. And if each one wants a separate standard, that's quite all right, because under the federalist system, the federal government doesn't dictate to the states, how they need to hire, what the background check needs to be like, what the physical fitness test is like. So the physical fitness test varies from some agencies not having any at all to some agencies having requirements that are even stricter than the military.
That is a problem. Just calling that out. I'm sure you know, but that is insane to me. We're all women. So why isn't the test a bit more uniform? Okay, so please go on. You tell us about like what the test is.
So there's been research on this topic, and women can be trained to pass this test. Women and men can be trained to pass this test if you have some men that are struggling. Specifically in New Jersey, what the problem arose was that they moved the test from the end of the academy, when that's 5.5 months in, to the first 2 weeks. So after 10 workouts, you were given this exam, and it's just not based on science. If you walked in without sufficient upper body muscle mass to do the 24 push-ups that were required, you're not going to be able to do that within 2 weeks. It's just not scientifically possible. You're
It
not going to
doesn't
build
sound right.
that
No.
amount of muscle mass. But if you do move that test to the end, then overwhelmingly, most of your candidates pass. So it was a way of washing out otherwise qualified candidates. These are people that passed the background check, that passed the employment check, the credit checks, all of this long, lengthy process, and then you were losing them within the first 10 days because they moved where they were going to test for physical fitness. They moved it to the first 2 weeks instead of at the end, which is 5.5 months long, which is the usual length of an academy.
No suena bien. I have another question now, part B to the dissection of this. So, how did you realize that this was a nationwide problem? Because I know you rep real hard for Jersey, but what was that research process like? How did you figure that out?
So thankfully, in 2016, I was accepted into a prestigious program called LEADS that was out of the National Institute of Justice. And LEADS is Law Enforcement Advancing Data and Science. And it's for middle managers that are interested in science and research. So once I was accepted into that program in 2016, you have access to academics, to research databases. And I started speaking to my peers in this program about what I was seeing, and we started collecting data on research, on attrition rates in academies, on the variety of physical exams that were out there. And what we found was that the number of women in policing had been stagnant for almost 30 years. It was hovering around 12.5%. And it hadn't moved. And we weren't just losing women to the physical fitness test. There were a variety of reasons that you were losing them. You were losing them in the interview processes, in the psychological exams, in the physical fitness tests, or even they being dissuaded by the way that police academies were recruiting. You'll have these agencies that will have these very glossy advertisements for policing where cops are hanging off the back of a helicopter or a SWAT truck, where most police agencies don't have a helicopter or a SWAT truck, right? It's unrealistic. It's not the reality of what most of these cops are being recruited for.
Wow, Ivonne, do you have a team that you work with? Are you a one-woman show?
No, actually, I have a great partner in Maureen McGough. She was the person who created the LEADS program, and I told her what was going on, and she provided so much support, not only in what I was doing in Newark with the Women's Leadership Academy, but last year we decided that this was something that needed to be addressed nationally. We got some small seed funding from Microsoft to launch a website, and she and I, it's a two-woman team, launched this alone. And within the first year, we were able to get 200 police agencies to sign on and to say that they believe that policing would be better if there were more representation of women in policing. So the initiative is called the 30 by 30 initiative. It's housed out of NYU's policing project. And right now we have 212 partners. 2 weeks ago, we were in Washington, D.C. Well, actually, no, it's a month now, September 7th and 8th. We were in Washington, D.C., and we got support from the federal government there and from the Bureau of Justice Assistance. And they're going to assist us in providing technical support to these agencies to meet their goal of reaching 30% by 2030.
Wow, that's an attainable goal, pero vamos para allá. Wow. This is really, really fascinating. I have more of a cultural question now. We're talking about women. In your research, have you found that further or beyond just the physicality and the process, is there also a barrier that women of color face in the rising of ranks within the systems that you've done research on?
Right. So when I started this effort, I started it in Newark, because that's where I was seeing the problem firsthand. And at the time, I didn't know how large the scale of the problem was. So I started advertising on Facebook and Instagram that if women were willing to meet me in the park, that I would train them. And so many women showed up that I had to expand it beyond Newark and say, if you're willing to drive to where I'm at, I'm willing to train you to pass this physical fitness test.
Wow.
And most of the women that showed up were women of color, Latina, Black women, and a minority of white women. And what I found was that my Black and Latina women had more struggles in the barriers because of things like socioeconomics, right? Having access to a car, fees that were required for specific tests. Some academies require that you pay your own way. That's called the alternate route. And that you pay your way through the academy. That means that you're not receiving a salary. A lot of the Black and Latina women were able to take advantage of programs like that because they couldn't forego a salary for 6 months and pay a fee on top of that.
Wow. I love that, we're breaking it down, because that was my instinct. There are probably women of color with children. Like, we can't take a pay cut to work our way through the academy.
To
Okay.
forego a salary altogether, no health insurance. Yeah.
I hope people are listening right now.
Well, I think people don't realize how, these issues can be a barrier. I remember speaking to an academic, and he said, I think this alternate route is a great way of recruiting people that are really interested in the job and are committed. And I said, really? You would think that, but when I was 20 years old, I wouldn't have been able to become a police officer if I had to pay my way through an academy. I couldn't, go without a salary for 6 months. And he goes, you know what? I didn't think of that.
Ay, pero yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being so vocal about all of this. Speaking of being vocal, our boy Ted from TED Talks hollered at you, and you did a TED Talk. Pero
That was
mujer,
amazing.
I'm so, when I speak to someone, and this isn't TEDx, this is a TED Talk that you did.
It's a TED Talk, yes.
There's a difference. And I watched your TED Talk, and I'm like, wow, she is a culture and policy shifter. You are a gem of our community. Newark must
Thank
be
you.
so proud. Tell us how that came about, because I don't know. Do we often see policymakers or law enforcement doing a TED Talk? And
No.
let alone a Latina. Hello. Ay, Dios
It was-
mío. How did this happen? Dime.
You know what? I'm all about, putting yourself forward and the worst that they can say is no, right? So I was looking for ways that I could elevate this problem that I realized wasn't isolated to Newark, that it was a greater problem, that it was being experienced all across the country. And I came across an application for a TED Talks fellowship. And what they do is they provide support to about a dozen people a year that they believe have an idea worth spreading, but they just need that little extra push to get the message out there, that they're not, the big icons of the world, they're not Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates, but that their message is one that resonates and that has the potential for impact. So I applied and I was selected in 2019.
Wow.
And then,
whoop, whoop.
yeah. So then just because you're selected doesn't mean that your TED Talk will be published. Not all of them are, but luckily my TED Talk was one that was selected to be published. And so that's really helped amplify the message and push this project along way farther, I think, than if I hadn't been selected for the fellowship. But I always say, the worst that could happen is someone says no. If you see something, go for it.
Yeah, yo, exactly. Well, when I saw the TED Talk, I was moved, and I'm like, wow, shout out to you for really identifying the problem or problems and then taking action upon it. I talk about this all the time on Latinos Out Loud. We can move the needle. We
Yeah.
may not seem like needle movers. You know what I'm saying? Or my mother would say, I move the needle all the time. I've crocheted many blankets for you and your children. Not that type of needle, not the crochet needles that are like abuelas and moms know. We as community members can move that needle way more than we think, you know, whether it's with people like Ivonne using her career as the conduit to get these messages out, tackling a problem and providing solutions. And I would like to get to that too. Before we end this interview, I want to know about the actions that have been taken and such and where we are. But I want to shout out everybody out there who's trying to move the needle. And those of you that can't or like think that you can't, rather, you can. Yes, you can. Si se puede. Yvonne's doing it. I feel that we're doing it with this podcast.
Yes.
I wanted to elevate your message in any way that I could. And thankfully, I have this podcast and a mutual friend, family member, you know, Anthony, shout out to Anthony. And I was just really moved by what you're doing for women. And we need to have these conversations more. Thanks for being so courageous and bringing all of these issues to the surface as well. And through a TED Talk, ay Dios mío. So I kind of want to get like a current events update, Yvonne. I'm sure people in the thousands, I mean, thousands of views have seen the TED Talk. You have published work out there. You've been featured on Vice. I'd love to know where we are. Has there been policy change that you're really proud of? And what can we do as a community to sort of march behind you and complement your efforts?
So as I mentioned, there's 18,000 police agencies. So it really requires 18,000 police chiefs or heads of agencies to buy in and to believe that this is something that they can get behind and that it's achievable. And we want those police chiefs to voluntarily sign on. We don't want them to be coerced and for it to be just them going through the motions and not really putting in the work to change the culture that's required so that women are not just surviving, but they're also thriving, right?
Yes.
We don't want to bring women into a toxic environment where they're not welcomed. But there's so many chiefs that have stepped up and really taken the lead. We have one individual that we're constantly highlighting. He's out in Nebraska, in Bellevue, Nebraska. And he met me when he was a captain in Iowa. And they had just 3% women there. And he was so concerned that he flew his only 2 female supervisors out to meet me so they could see what I was doing in Newark, so they could replicate it back in Iowa. And I was so humbled that he would do that. And then praying when the plane left, I'm like, Lord, don't let anything happen to that plane or the entire female leadership in the Iowa State Police.
Go, stewards, go,
Yes,
evangelize the message, spread it through Nebraska and Iowa and to every place else in the Bible Belt. Go, Latinas.
Exactly what you're saying. So he got promoted from Iowa and went to Nebraska. And when he became a chief in Nebraska, the first thing he did was implement 30 by 30. And a lot of the pushback is that when you take the police agency and you try to diversify it in any way, that you're weakening it, that somehow you're watering down the standards. And he single-handedly proved that that's not the case over there. He personally recruited the females for the new recruit class. And those females that he recruited won all of the awards. They won the firearms awards, they won the Scholastic Award, and more importantly, they won the physical fitness award.
Yes.
So he did away with any of the naysayers that said if you tried to diversify for gender, if you were being specific in your recruitment, that somehow you were watering down the standards. And he was able to recruit another 8 or 9 agencies in Nebraska alone. So Nebraska of all states is really well represented because that he believes in it, but also that he's spreading the gospel, like you said.
This is so awesome. This is like bomba en plena, you know, like the call and response. I will lead in a call of the music and then you respond and then you go sing your music to your communities. Our ancestors are speaking to us. Do you feel this? Okay, I'm getting very ancestral and like Taina right now.
I love it.
Thank you. Shout out to Yemaya. Okay, yo, llama yo. Ivonne. Now, how can people like me, who I'm not in law enforcement, I maybe know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows a chief. What could I do? Is there a website? Is there something that I can send that somebody who knows a somebody who knows a somebody who knows a chief that I think could, learn from this program? Shout out the website or anything that we can forward on and micro evangelize the message.
Right. Our website is www.30x30initiative.org. 30x30initiative.org. And on there, we have the pledge. We have low cost and no cost solutions to increasing the number of women in policing. We have research excerpts that explain the research on women in policing. We have case studies. We put most of the coverage that 30 by 30 has gotten on there. So it's a really good tool for those that are interested. And as far as, getting the message out verbally, if decision makers, someone that is in the know as to local politics, you could bring up the subject. But again, we want chiefs that are doing this voluntarily, not someone that was dragged into doing it and is just going to go through the motions, right? Because the culture is critical. And the reason why we pick 30% is because there's research that when a marginalized group enters an organization, they can't change that culture until they feel comfortable enough to advocate for themselves and advocate for others as a group. And that number is 30%. That's the tipping point where they can, in fact, change the culture and impact the policies that are being made.
And look, the proof is in the pudding, people. Watch Yvonne's TED Talk, and you will hear a lot about women on forces, women in law enforcement, and the situations that we make better. Woo, cha. Okay, I have one last question before we sign off here. If you could talk to young Yvonne right now on the microphone, she's listening to the podcast, confirmed, okay? Guaranteed. There may be several young Yvonnes listening to this podcast right now. What are some words of advice that you have for them in navigating this career path or any career path where there are barriers in place against women?
I think that change comes incrementally, and sometimes you may feel like, well, this is never going to happen, or this seems insurmountable. But movements happen, one change at a time, and then you keep pushing forward and you keep pushing forward. So it may look like you're not having an impact, but you certainly are, and impact and change builds on each of those small movements moving forward. So keep plucking along. You're going to go very far.
I love it. Yes. Did you hear her one time for Ivonne Roman on the Latinos Out Loud podcast? Okay. Everybody get against the vehicle and start clapping your hands. Okay. Ivonne, thank you so much for your time and your efforts and what you're doing for our community. I tell you, people, I say it all the time, the guests on this show are in line with our mantra. Our mantra is we move Latinos forward while making them laugh. We're going to make you chuckle along the way on the Latinos Out Loud podcast. That's a guaranteed. But what an informative and empowering interview this was. Gracias. Thank you so much, Ivonne.
And thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Put your hands where my eyes can see them. Exactly.
Wow, Rachel.
Yeah.
Right?
Talk
great. About a Latina moving up the ranks in law enforcement, repping hard for New Jersey. I see you, NJ. 30, Joyzy.
Joyzy.
And then taking her message nationally with an initiative that police chiefs should really be getting on board with. Yo, LOLeros, if you know a police chief or if you know a high-ranking police officer in any market in this country, talk to them about 30 by 30. Go to the website, share it with them, text it to them. This is something that you can also get behind and make a difference with. Don't you want to make a difference? It feels good.
Write your local police chief. Let him know, or her know.
Exactly.
Or they know.
That's a great point. Great point. You don't know how they identify, but if they identify as a police chief or in law enforcement, period, this is something that they should know about. All right, yo, this has been a great episode. Do we want to get into a que lo que real quick?
Let's
Let's
Okay.
do it, yo.
Un, dos, tres, vamos a bailar otra vez. Que lo que, 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 que lo que. Un, dos, tres, menéate otra vez. Que lo que, 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 que lo que.
All right, it's que lo que time here at
Ooh,
LOL.
I love
That's
it.
right. You act so surprised, Frank.
No,
You
no,
know,
I
and
love it.
that. It's
I love
genuine.
que lo que is.
It's
Yes, I
genuine.
love it.
I love
it,
que lo que is too. It's like our shout out. It's like a what's up, y'all? What you gotta say? Who's on the phone with Ed, Lisa, and Dre?
That's
I know
right.
you remember that. You don't remember that shit? The roll call? All right. Outdated. and
Too
dated.
young for that.
You're a liar, Jamie. You're a liar because I feel like I've rapped this with you before. Like I think I've shared my Ed, Lisa, and Dre rap with you at some point. Because you know I got one. Not gonna do it here though. No, I've evolved
grew
as a
up-
rapper since.
I grew up in a
so-
post-radio world, Rachel.
What? Are you? That has to be a thing where people are claiming they're a generation that they're not, right? Like,
Man.
Yeah. I
fake-
didn't know a world without internet, Rachel.
oh, get out of here, you wannabe millennial. Are you serious right now? You were on mi gente like the rest of us, Jay Ferns.
Oh my goodness.
Woo! I was loca de Brooklyn on mi gente. Frank, what was your name on mi gente?
I never had me hint.
I actually never had me gente. I got on. I was
wrong?
a MySpace. I was a MySpace kid, but not kid, but like teenager.
Wow,
Oh,
you
MySpace.
guys missed mi gente. You weren't
Yeah,
on mi
I
gente.
missed it.
I was
it.
yeah. I think I was still kind of like paranoid
I'm
about
shocked.
Yeah.
giving information out at that time. It was still very new.
Mike used to
Well-
talk to me about mi gente, and I used to be like, "Shut the fuck up! I don't want nothing to do with none of that stupid shit, none of that social media stuff." So that's when he was
Wow.
talking to me about that stuff. He's like, "Shut up, kid! Make some money. Be quiet." Like,
I was an AOL instant messenger.
There are tricks to the trade, aren't there? Okay, anybody got shout outs for this KLOK session that we're doing right now?
Just a quick, always giving a shout out to Yeto.com, the
Hi.
news and lifestyle platform for Latino men.
That's right.
Mad props for, all the stories that they do.
Mm.
And if you want to find out what they're up to and what's happening with the Latino community, go check them at Yeto.com.
All right. I'll do that.
And check me out at J Ferns Instagram, J_Ferns Twitter.
Nice.
Frank
I want
Nibs.
to give a big shout out, big happy birthday to my I think maybe my only listener, or my biggest listener of all time, Desiree Para Garcia.
I Desiree.
You know who she is, Rachel. I mean,
Yup.
she's been giving me love for like 3-4 years. Out from Phoenix, Arizona, Mexicana. Mi panita full, I want to give a big happy birthday. It was on October 2nd, so happy belated birthday to her. And thank you always for giving us love. One love, Desiree. Thank you.
We love you, girl. Happy birthday.
All right.
That's what's up.
All right.
Okay. Tomorrow's the show, guys. Tomorrow is the Tormenta Telethon at the Triad Theater, October 18th at 8 p.m. Please go
Ooh.
to the triadtheater.com to get tickets or instant seats or Eventbrite, or you can just hit me up on Instagram and I will send you the link back. We're doing this for a good cause, comedy for the community. So please join us at the Triad on 72nd in Columbus tomorrow.
Are
at
they
8 p.m.
are they giving out free tote bags like the PBS telethons?
You know, it's funny you say that because there might be some old school giveaways from the stage.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
All you got to do is pledge, not allegiance, but actually make a donation and pledge your allegiance to the funds. Yes. And then you might just walk away with a gift. We have some sponsors giving away stuff. Like, it's going to be fun. It's also going to be all in the vein of comedy. I swear, we're just like having a good time with this show and friends getting together, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans getting together.
Ooh, what a mix. I love it. Ooh.
Look,
qué
there might be a dance off, there might be a
Ooh.
trivia game,
Ooh.
there might be some fun stuff happening from the stage. Come
Nice.
join us. Come join
Nice,
us.
nice.
Hey.
I'm looking
And
forward to it,
please-
Rachel.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, guys. Listen, please follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud on the socials. On Twitter, we're Latinos Out Loud _ okay? But everywhere else, we are Latinos. That sounded funny. We are Latinos Out Loud. That's like a song that we should sing at the end of the telethon. I was thinking of doing We Are the World, but we should do We Are Latinos Out Loud. We are
Oh,
Latinos Out Loud.
we're gonna come
It
up with
doesn't really
something.
look,
Yeah.
doesn't work with the syllables. Jamie will rewrite it. Okay, so follow us, give us a call, 978 Latinos. Thank you for listening, LOLeros. We love you so much. We love you. Te amo. Te amo
Thank you.
muchísimo. Oh, wait, I gotta give a shout out real quick. Oh my god, I almost forgot.
Ooh, yeah. You would have got in trouble. Who is it?
Well, I want to shout out Carmelo, who is also an avid listener of this podcast. Shout out to Carmelo.
Carmelo Anthony?
I hope he listens to our podcast. If he does, hit me in the DM.
That's
And
Carmelo
just-
from Uptown. Yeah, he's from the Heights.
Carmelo proposed to his girlfriend.
I saw that. Yo, he went all out, bro.
And
Yo,
it was
he went all out.
so beautiful. And he proposed to her, and it was just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that video. Thanks for reaching out for advice. I just
I
really
saw the video. She said yes.
Yes, she said
Ah.
yes, and it was so endearing. So shout out to them. And just everybody out there making your dreams come true and pursuing your passions. Our friend Ramon Pesante has a GoFundMe going on, so hit him up. Ramon
Word, man.
Pesante.
Yo, shout out to him. I think he's doing good.
I think
He's
he reached
funding.
his.
Did
He's
he reach
close
his
to reaching
goal,
his
man?
goal, or he reached it. Okay.
Yeah. He's
Nice.
doing a
That's
thing,
dope.
man.
That's dope.
Super
dope.
dope. Our friends are coming out with some ill shit, so let's support each other. All right, guys, thanks so much. Another great episode in the libros, in the books, the books. All right, until next time, we love you. And on that note, we are out.
Brah!